Hello, everybody, and welcome to Revisiting Disney. This is the series in which I pick a ride or show or hotel or some aspect of Walt Disney World, and I play the role of armchair Imagineer and talk about how I would replace or revisit or, I guess, retheme that thing so it would be completely new, but still sort of inhabit the spirit of whatever we're revisiting. Today we are here in Epcot, and we're into a part of Epcot that I have to say, no matter who I go to Disney with, the one comment this place gets is the same, which is, what's that building for? And that is the Odyssey in, I guess it's technically part of Future World. It's sort of right on the border between Future World and World Showcase. So if you don't know what the Odyssey is, the Odyssey originally was a restaurant that opened along with Epcot when Epcot opened in the 80s. And it was a place where people could just get food. They get burgers and hot dogs and that sort of stuff. It reminds me very much of sort of like an Epcot equivalent of Cosmic Rays, but without the giant animatronic alien. And in 1994, it closed down, but it wasn't completely abandoned. It's not like it's all dusty in there with cobwebs. It gets used for events and things like that. So it gets its use, but it isn't open to the public all the time. And so it sort of sits there and looks closed most of the time, and that's what sort of evokes that feeling of, I wonder what this building's for, or what's this for, why is this here? And so I thought it'd be an interesting thing to revisit because, I don't know, it's different. I mean, looking from up here, there's not a lot of space. It was built as a restaurant, so it's not the sort of thing that's going to house an attraction. You're not going to have a ride in here. Maybe you could do some sort of show in here. And so I was trying to think about what would go in here that I think would be fitting for Epcot that isn't more of the same, right? Yeah, we could do another ride or another show, but, you know, what kind of show are we going to put in here that Epcot doesn't already offer? Because Epcot offers a fair number of shows, whether it's in Future World with Ellen's Energy Adventure or whether it's with O Canada or the show over in the China Pavilion. You know, it's got its fair share. So I thought, you know what? What about something that is very representative of where this is? Like, we'll pull back real quick. This is World Showcase, the beginning right there, and that's Future World. It lies just sort of squished in between the two. And if you think about what Epcot is and what it's meant to be, you know, it was originally intended to be a fully functional city of the future, but unfortunately Walt passed away before they were able to make that a reality. So the next sort of thing that Epcot was meant to be a persistent 24/7 World's Fair. And I think putting a museum or some sort of, I think museum almost makes it sound too boring, but some sort of, tribute to not only the New York's World's Fair and World's Fair in general, which has been going on long before New York and actually after New York, but maybe, a tribute to Walt's dream of what Epcot was originally going to be, a tribute of the World's Fair, which sort of inspired him in so many ways, and not only inspired him, but ended up playing a big part in Walt Disney World. Not only did the World's Fair in 1964 convince Walt that an East Coast Disney would do well, but a lot of rides were developed for the World's Fair that moved over. Most notably, It's a Small World, and you have the animatronic Lincoln, and things like that. So I think having some sort of tribute to all of that in this building would be fantastic, and I think it'd be a cool educational tool, which is exactly what, Epcot's meant to be originally, is some place where you can learn and have fun. And I think one cool thing that would be great to include in here, and I'm not going inside because I believe on MC Magic it's sort of an empty shell because, like in real Disney, it's not open to the public. But I think if you can get all of Progress Land, the model of Progress Land in there, that would be incredible. I don't even know if it would completely fit inside this building. If you don't know what that is, that's a scale model that was built that was sort of like the beginnings of what Epcot would become. And you can actually see a part of this in the Tomorrowland Transit Authority in the Magic Kingdom that rides through this tunnel, and you see this scale model of a futuristic city, and that was actually a piece of it. And if it's hard to imagine because that scale model piece itself is pretty big, but it was actually a part of a much larger display. So I think putting that entire display back together again, I hope it all exists somewhere. I don't know if it's in storage or somewhere else. It used to exist above the Carousel of Progress over in Disneyland, but it's been moved. Putting that in here, maybe putting a short little film similar to like One Man's Dream in Hollywood Studios that has like a mini documentary about Walt. How about a mini documentary about what Epcot was supposed to be? Show the original Epcot film. I think you can find that online very easily on YouTube these days, but that was essentially Walt's pitch to potential investors about Epcot back when it was going to be a functional city of the future, and it was to sell people on the idea of this Florida project. So I think it'd be cool if you could go in there and you could watch the Florida Project video, which was actually, I believe, the last film that Walt was in technically before he passed away. So it's got that historical gravity to it there. Maybe some displays explaining how the World's Fair affected Disney and the path of Disney and the Disney company, and show these roots, because I think, a lot of hardcore Disney fans love learning about the history of Disney because it has such a rich history, and it's the sort of thing you can't get at like a Great Adventure. And I think this building would be great for that because, what else are we going to put here? Another restaurant? I mean, there are plenty of restaurants. There are plenty of places to eat in Epcot, especially World Showcase. You've got plenty of attractions over in Future World, and I don't think this would really accommodate an attraction very well. So I think this would be perfect for something like that. Now, I know right now it has its use for special events and stuff like that, but that's boring. I think it'd be way more fun to have something like that would be open to the public. It'd be a cool way for people to get out of the heat, in Epcot when they're going from Future World to Tomorrowland to World Showcase. And I think it'd be a cool way to teach people stuff. So, that's my idea for the Odyssey. Bring it back, make it this center of history where people can see history as it happened, with clips of the World's Fair and the Epcot and the Florida Project film. See what Epcot was supposed to be, not as a way of showing like, oh, well, this is what it's become, but show how it's evolved, because that's how these projects happen. They start as one thing and they usually evolve into another. Anyway, that's what I would do with the Odyssey. What I want to know is, what would you do with the Odyssey? Would you do something similar to that? Would you maybe try to put a ride in there, or maybe you have an idea for a restaurant theme? Let me know in the comments below, or let me know on Twitter. I'm at Rob Plays. I'd love to hear everybody's ideas. And if you have an idea for what you'd like to see me revisit next, also feel free to let me know. Although granted, that list is getting pretty small at this point. I think I've revisited mostly everything in Walt Disney World. Good news is, in a couple of months I'll be at Disneyland, and then I'll be able to start revisiting that stuff. I haven't even been there yet, and I'm already planning to replace things. Anyway, as always, I want to thank you all for watching. Whatever you're doing this week, make the most of it, because it makes it that much better. And I hope to see you all next time for the next episode of Revisiting Disney. Bye, everybody.